What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Hopefully we've had a good day out there, and overall it's been pretty nice for a lot of the viewing area with kind of just a really nice spring day. Luckily the wind has begun to calm down, and also that kind of cold air has kind of begun to retreat back out of the eastern half of the country a little bit today. So overall it's been a lot nicer of a Thursday than it was, for example, on Monday for many of us. So that is always good. I do want to start by saying I do apologize for not getting a video out yesterday. Unfortunately, finals have been kind of just kicking my rear end, to be completely honest. So I'm a little bit drained, and I've just been, really kind of trying to hit the books. So, part of being a college student is that sometimes you got to cancel things at the last second. So I do apologize about that, but I am back today, even if it is, already 6 o'clock. We're getting a video out. It is happening. So with that said, today we are going to talk about some severe weather as well as kind of just what really to expect over the next week across the lower 48. And honestly, it kind of looks like a pretty normal May pattern for many of us, and also a really big time warm up looks to be very possible going into early next week as well. So we're going to talk about that. But with all that said, I think that's all the housekeeping things to take care of here at the beginning. Let's go ahead and get into that forecast. So we'll start here by looking at radar. And again, we do have some areas of some clouds and showers over sections of the southern plains, and even some storms here over Texas this evening. And I would expect this area up to severe weather to continue through much of the kind of evening and overnight here through the Dallas-Fort Worth area, back towards Lubbock, up towards OKC, and kind of really just along the Red River Valley here. So luckily, if you're in the east, things have been a lot nicer than they were earlier this week. Even in the northeast, where we have some scattered showers left over, it still is a lot less widespread, and even some sun is poking through compared to kind of earlier this week. And also, a lot of sunshine and really nice weather over the southeast today as well. So that is radar. Taking a look at satellite, again, we do have those showers and storms over the southern plains and even some leftover clouds and showers in the northeast, but overall much nicer right now on Thursday than it was earlier this week. Also, luckily in West Virginia, looks like some of that snow is finally beginning to pull back a little bit. I meant to show that on radar. So if you've been in the higher terrains of West Virginia getting snow over the past couple of days, good news, summer is back on the horizon. Even in the mountains of North Carolina last night, we got down below freezing in some of the valleys. So, it's been a kind of a wild start to May, but luckily things look to get a little bit closer to normal as we go further in time. So looking at some of those hazards, again, we have that tornado watch right now here in kind of that area of those stronger storms that we looked at, as well as a flood watch in that general area as well for some of those storms throughout this evening. So starting with today's severe weather threat, again, really I think the biggest area is going to be down here into Texas and southern and central Oklahoma, but anywhere in this green and yellow area has that potential at some stronger storms throughout the rest of this evening. Then going into tomorrow, that threat area shifts to a bit more of a defined area here near the Dallas-Fort Worth area and areas to the south and west of there. But much of central Texas under the gun for some stronger storms tomorrow. Also, a couple other pockets here to note of that potential of some strong to severe storms tomorrow over Mississippi, Alabama, and even sections of Nebraska. So we're definitely going to watch out for that as well. Before going into Saturday, that threat area shifts to, kind of a couple different places. Once again, back over Texas, but also up here near Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. So I really see kind of classic May pattern setting up here of just throughout much of the next week or two, we're going to have just about, that chance of severe weather every day throughout kind of different places, but through kind of the normal suspect areas you would expect in May to be under the gun for severe weather. Now, luckily, I don't see any kind of major outbreak or some kind of major storm system that is going to contribute to a lot of this through a big swath of the country. But again, just kind of scattered severe storms as you would expect for much of May for, again, a lot of the normal suspect areas. So kind of looking ahead in time here, again, going into tonight and into tomorrow afternoon, that chance of some severe storms there over Mississippi and Alabama going into tomorrow, as we talked about. Also over Texas again tomorrow, and again, even potentially over Nebraska tomorrow with, some showers and storms up in that area. And then as we get into overnight Friday, I do expect some of these showers to kind of linger through the southeast. So, we've got that chance of rain again on Saturday, unfortunately, for sections of the Carolinas and Georgia. And it feels like it has rained here every weekend. Actually, I saw on Facebook Chris Justice, who, if you're from South Carolina, you might know him. I think he posted it 7 weekends in a row, if you include this coming weekend, that we will see some type of rain in the upstate of South Carolina. So it's just been one of those patterns that, whenever it locks in, it just does not want to budge, and that appears to, continue into this weekend. Now, luckily, as we get into early next week, although we do have this chance, again, of just scattered severe storms from many different places, I do expect a warm-up. So going into next Monday here, you'll notice we kind of get this high pressure to scoop back off to the east, and with that we're going to get this return of southerly flow. Now again, that is going to contribute to the chance of some stronger storms here in the east with that with that afternoon heating, but it does definitely look to feel a lot more like summertime going into next week. So I think really early next week could be the first time that we kind of get some of those beach days in for areas of the east. And again, we're probably going to be dodging some storms here through the early half of next week, but honestly, really even through the middle of next week is what the pattern kind of looks like, but it at least looks warmer. So if there's one way I would describe next week, is it's probably going to feel a lot more like June and July than maybe May. So, afternoon thunderstorms very possible, but also those warmer temperatures definitely returning with also that muggier air. So to take a look at that as well, and I meant to pull this up, but we'll just pull this up on the fly here. As we get into next week, look at these dew points really return into the forecast. This is pretty muggy air. This is going into next Monday. You see these dew points up into the upper 60s and lower 70s here in the southern part of the country. So, again, this is that summertime kind of muggy air really taking hold. And you can see that really hanging around through much of next week as this new pattern kind of looks to take shape. And another map I want to show you here is that lightning flash density. So again, this just kind of shows, where we're likely to see those thunderstorms. And as I move this ahead into time through this weekend into early next week, again, you'll notice in the afternoon, we're getting these kind of big areas of those chances of thunderstorms popping up with those higher dew points, with that Gulf moisture, with that summertime air. So really a summertime pattern setting up for next week. And I expect that to kind of maybe hang around for a little bit as we get through much of the first half of May. Now, the bright side, if you are a fan of the summertime, is that does mean these warmer temperatures are going to return. So you'll notice as we get into early next week, this red building back in on the map. And as you get into, the middle of May, if we're anything above, what we should be this time of year, it's really going to start to feel warm through much of this part of the country. And you can tell, even moving this ahead into time, that warm air looks to kind of try to stay around. Now, I will say there are kind of some hints of maybe a couple backdoor cold fronts trying to work into the east through this time period. So I don't want to rule out the chance of the wedge kind of working into the northeast and southeast at times, but overall still looks much warmer, especially compared to what we were seeing earlier this week, where, we were seeing snow in the higher terrains, as well as, temperatures getting, only into the 60s for many of us. So definitely looks a lot warmer than that. So kind of one more map I'll show you here. Again, this is just kind of to reiterate what I've already talked about a little bit here. But as we get into early next week, again, you'll notice this high pressure kind of begins to scoot offshore, and with that, returning that southerly flow through much of the eastern half of the country, helping to drive that Gulf moisture northward, including that muggy air, as well as that chance of kind of just continued thunderstorms. And that pattern looks to really hang around through much of next week before getting kind of way out there into time. We, had the chance again of a couple of these back toward cold fronts trying to work in, but again, that's so far out there that it's kind of impossible to really predict with much accuracy at this point in time. So again, just to reiterate, really warming up, getting more into that summertime kind of expectations in the weather over the next couple of days and really through the next week. And with that, of course, that chance of severe weather hanging around for many of us as well. So again, I appreciate you kind of bearing with me as I kind of continue to, I don't want to say struggle along, but kind of push through finals week here. And luckily, my last final is actually on Saturday, and believe it or not, it's already Thursday. So before you know it, we'll be good. We'll be back to normal. And with that, also, I do want to kind of let you know I will be ending up back in Pickens soon for the summertime. So that might change kind of my upload schedule a little bit, or just kind of the background you see in a couple other things, but shouldn't affect anything too bad with the channel. Just kind of wanted to throw a little bit of tidbit of information out there for you all. But with that said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.